Another special day today, so starting with this new acoustic speaker for the Continuum, and so the concert at the end. We have these three guys on stage. I would like to have two other guys on stage, Luc and Marc, because we're working all together to... Oui, si vous pouvez venir sur scène juste que je vous présente ça. So this is a team who has worked on this with the help of Lippel and Ed, of course. So maybe you have started discussing with Marc. He's a luthier, so he's an amazing luthier. He's building all these wooden parts. He's a guitar string instrument maker, and he's also building. You will see that word instrument here, whose name is Cantat. So I will explain how we met, but he's really amazing. He's crafting the sound with wood the same way we were crafting the sound with synthesizer, and that's purely the kind of direction I wanted to go in. And you have Luc Bourachot. He's just an amazing electronic guy. He can repair any old vintage synth he can dream of, and he's building this amazing pure Class A amplifier, very high end. He will explain a bit about it later on. They are not fully fluent in English. I'm not full, but so he will give the explanation in French, and I will translate then. So I'm very honored to work with that two guy on this stuff, and then also so we had the help from Ed and Leopold. So you see the connection with the Mini. You heard a bit of it. Up to now, and with the bigger one. So I'm going to talk about it now. So what you are seeing here are nearly finalized prototypes. So this one on the half size, there are still some needs for improvement, but it's nearly finalized. This one also, we need to work a little more on the connection with the Mini. And this one is really a prototype. It's not finalized. I thought, as you can see, the exciters are still outside, and they are not expected to be outside, and the amplifier is open. It's not expected to be open, but anyway. As for the Mini, we will have a Kickstarter on this, so that's expected to be on next fall. So be prepared for a Kickstarter at that time. I didn't say anything about the prices yet, but it's going to be the same kind of range as the Mini, so about 500 for the Kickstarter and probably 700 to 800 after the Kickstarter. So short history, how things went and how we managed to get to that position. So there was a contest, a kind of contest. A place where we were presenting project in Paris some years ago, and I went there to promote my physical modeling algorithm. I had a 1-minute talk to explain my physical modeling stuff. I totally failed, but this guy came with that instrument, just played it on stage. Everybody was amazed, and he was selected. And what his intention was to he wanted to have some electronic inside his lutherie. So he wanted to add some electronic inside this. So we decided to work together. The idea is there's a set of microphone on that guy, a pickup microphone, getting the sound of it, and then there's a processing engine. It can be an iPad or a specific engine, and the sound is put back inside. Then, so to avoid any huge feedback, the first thing we did is to have two separated bodies. So you can see here you have a top body and a second body, and that's a good way to avoid feedback. But at the same time, it happens that the guy below was really sounding great, and I put it on my Continuum and say, hey, that's something to work on. So that was not planned at the beginning, but it happens that this was working very well. So we decided to try to work on all this, and that's where we ended on. So it's yeah, nothing planned. Just it happened to be like this. And also, I had for a very long time this idea of putting together the physical sound and the electronic sound. I don't really understand why we have two sides, the electronic world and the acoustic world. I wanted really to have them together. And even on the synthesis domain, I'm working on physical modeling. That was the first step. But I was really thinking what I've explained yesterday with Eric, what I did at in his studio for his next record is really coupling electronics and physical stuff. So that was quite natural for me to go in that direction. And it was just great to meet an open-minded Luthier, because Luthier is very traditional, then people are not always happy to change their way of working, but he's experimenting and he's very good at it. So that was very nice. So just to make some, I'm going to try not to talk too long and just have some listening quite quickly, but things which are important. It's not neutral at all, so it's not intended to be a general speaker, purely neutral with a flat response. It has its own character, but that's what we wanted to have. So we are not trying to have it flat, we're just trying to have it nice, which is quite different. So our main tool is our ears, not measurement. We know that the measurement is like this. We do some small measurement too, and especially look on that guy. That's important. But at the end of the day, only the ear is really the judge of what we are doing. They all have a double soundboard. So there's a soundboard on the top, soundboard on the other side. They have different sounds, more high frequencies here, more low frequencies there. And we have an internal amplifier, and you can select the volume of each side differently. So you can kind of tune the sound you want to have just playing with these two knobs. One thing which is also very, very different from a traditional speaker, it's not directional, it's spreading things all around. So that doesn't mean that the sound is the same all over. So if you move over, it's very immersive, but that doesn't mean the sound is the same all over. You have sound everywhere, and when you will listen to them, you will see, you have the feeling the sound is coming from different direction. But if you move within the hole, you will also have different feeling of the sound. And it's the same thing if you move the speaker, the result is going to be different. That's exactly as an acoustic instrument, a violin player, when he has a hole, there's some specific place he wants to play on because it sounds better than other ones. That's the same kind of behavior you're going to have with this. You can see the way it works, so there's no loudspeaker inside. We just have this loud board with exciters on it, so you can see the exciters on that, guys. There's also a huge work on positioning the exciters. If you put the exciter here or here, the sound is not the same. So there is a choice we're making on where to put the exciters. There's a lot of lutherie work also. For example, we have braces. So on that, guys, we have braces here. We don't have braces yet on that side. We will have, so that's also why it's still a prototype. But the way the braces are placed and the thickness of them is very important, and it's changing the sound of the overall body. Yeah, one thing which is also for me very important, when you play on that guy or on that guy, if you put your hand on it, you feel the vibration of your sound. So that was really something I was missing as an electronic musician. When you play your instrument, the vibration is coming from elsewhere. You don't feel as on the guitar, or violin, or flute, or whatever. And here you are feeling the vibration. And for the musician, that's a very different connection. And especially for expression, the feedback, it's not now only your ear getting the feedback, your finger is getting the vibration, and that's a way also to be more integrated in the feedback loop when you are playing, and that's a big difference for players. Okay, so this is a picture of some work we've done with Marc. So you can see a lot of different sizes, a lot of different shapes, a lot of different type of holes. So he did an amazing work designing a whole set of different tries. So like we have said before, it's a lot of try and fails, but some are working. So and that the way we were selecting things. So we did try on nearly everything: the exciters, the wood, the braces, the size, the olds, and whatever. So on these two guys, so that's what we call the Onde. So that's not the final prototype. This one is more advanced, but I had no picture when I did my slides. So it has been designed to have quite a colored sound and really dedicated to electronic instruments. So here it's connected to a mini and to half size, but obviously you can connect it to any electronic instrument, but it's designed for electronic instrument. When I say design, that means that the braces, the soundboard have been designed so you can have a wide range of frequency, for example. So it's this guy talking at 35 Hz, which is quite low for such kind of body, and can go very, very, very high, so that's fine. It has an embedded 2 times 30 watt Class D amp inside. It has Bluetooth, so you can play it just from your phone, and an additional line input, so you can play at the same time the Bluetooth and the line input. So that's a good way to have some backtracks you're playing, and then you play over it, and that will work fine. So 2 separated volume. It's battery powered, so you can have it fully standalone. You go away with it, it's going to work. It's going to work for about 1 full day on its battery. And when you play it with a mini, that means it has 2 external plugs, so you can charge, power up your mini from the internal battery. That means that you can take this and go away, and you do it for probably half a day. You don't need any additional stuff. So it's fully standalone. And then about that guy. So that guy has a more wider range. It's still not neutral, but we expect to have it usable for a wider range of kind of musics. So it's a very different shape. So you can see it. One thing with that shape which is funny is that the frequency it's a natural filter. So when you listen to it, the low frequency are coming from that part, and the high frequencies are coming from the top of it. So it's spreading this frequency in a different way, just due to the shape of the speaker. And so it has Bluetooth, same kind of characteristic. 2 soundboards, separated volume, and it has this amazing Class A amplifier. Maybe Luc, you can come and give just a few words about the design of this amp, and I will translate them. So he's going to explain in French. I will do my best to find the good technical terms to translate.
Merci. Oh, c'est un ampli. Désolé, I don't speak English correctly. Sorry. Donc c'est un ampli 2 fois 35 watts, 2 fois 30 watts en réalité, qui est un ampli de pure classe A. Donc ce qui veut dire qu'on a un très fort courant de repos sur les transistors et qui est très musical. On n'a pas de rupture dans un ampli de classe A. Voilà. On passe pas d'un transistor à un autre. Je vais faire court hein, pour pas trop vous abréger de technique.
Give me some just small, because I won't be able to remember. So it's a pure Class A amplifier, current driven. It has a very quite high standby current, so that's very specific design, very musical answer. So I think that's mostly what you've said. Voilà.
Donc les amplis de classe A ont aussi une particularité, c'est qu'ils ont un temps de montée très élevé. Et c'est une principale caractéristique qui m'a fait venir sur ce type d'amplificateur, qui est loin d'être écologiste, puisque c'est un ampli qui est finalement toujours à fond. C'est pour ça qu'il chauffe beaucoup.
So one of the main characteristics of this guy is it has a transient, so a uptime, which is very, very short, and which is one thing we noticed what was very important for that kind of device. So everything was designed to have this very short uptime and transient time, and that means that this guy is always full range, meaning that it's hitting quite a lot. So it's say 70 degrees on the top. You say c'est 70 degrés sur le dessus.
Oui, 70 degrés environ. Voilà. On peut faire un œuf à la coque dessus.
You can cook on it. Sally?
Question.
Oui.
Would we hear that mostly as like a more punchy bass? Is that kind of how we would notice that fast transient?
Fast transit, yeah.
We would hear that as maybe a more punchy bass or a tighter bass?
Yeah, not only bass, but for impact sounds. The attack, as explained yesterday by Leopold, the first microseconds of the sounds are very important for our ear, and the speaker really answer very nice to this very short attacks and that's what you get when you hit a guitar. You're slapping or making any noise on a guitar or on a violin. But if you want to get them from the speaker, it can do it, but you have to send it from the amplifier. So we needed to have an amplifier being able to answer in a few microseconds. So that's why.
Voilà.
There's a lot of power to it.
Voilà. C'est ça.
I just didn't know if we would notice that in the higher frequencies.
I think you notice it everywhere.
Yeah.
On a une large réserve de puissance également, ce qui fait que l'impulsion qui doit être transmise, on est sûr de ne pas perdre le signal et pas perdre également les signaux intermédiaires qui sont toutes les nuances, etc. Rien n'est écrasé parce qu'on a une puissance ici qui est phénoménale et qui permet de driver les excitateurs de manière optimale. C'est ce qui fait la différence de cet ampli par rapport à d'autres amplis, voilà, et qui va très bien avec la pyramide.
Yeah, so that's mostly what I already said. So, that's really you have to look at it. It has been designed specifically to answer the requirement of this soundboard. So it's a high-end amplifier. You could use it for anything else, but it's really tightly coupled. So these guys have some word answers and so on. So it's designed so it's going to drive this finally.
Alors a bien dit que c'est un proof of concept. Ouais.
So all of these guys are nearly final, and these guys are proof of concept. So I guess this one is quite near to the sound we will have at the end. This one, the sound is still going to evolve. So you will hear the bass are too much resonating because of the fact that we don't have any braces on the back. But we have to start with no braces and then add progressively as many braces as we need. So this is really a prototype yet, and so probably in a couple of months we will have a much more advanced one. But you will hear, we know it's working, so that's just fine-tuning everything.
Thank you.
So I guess it's time to start playing. Maybe I can ask you, Ed, to start with a...
Sure, I'll just play a little bit,
Yeah, I'm just going to do one thing. I'm just taking the power off, so you can see it's working fully standalone. I was just charging the battery up to now.
So there's like my first contact with this was just a few days ago. We arrived here early from ContinuuCon, and this is a very interesting acoustical experience. That's one of the things like what Christophe mentioned about being disembodied from the sound. Even if you have a monitor close from you, it's something that we've learned to do, and you've just gotten used to having the sound either directly in your ear through headphones or in speakers, or in a situation like this where it's actually quite removed from your performance experience. And so to able to get back to this kind of idea that you're playing a thing that's resonating on its own is it's not trivial. It's actually it's a really important thing. And I always find when I play, I don't play live a lot, but I play in a studio, so I have a very controlled monitor environment in my studio. And when you play live, one of the big variables is that you're in this hall, and you've got essentially you're replacing part of your sound chain with something that is supplied by either by the electronics within the hall or just by the actual physicality of the hall. So having something like this, I think, is quite revolutionary for electronic musicians who play, even if you play in larger places where you're going to be amplified. The sound from your performance is really tied into that. So, I can imagine if you asked a violin player to to play, and then they said, okay, but now we're going to put the sound 5 feet away. We might put it behind you. We might put it in front of you. It's disconcerting, and for me, when I don't play live very often, I find it very off-putting. So I'm really sensitive to level and that sort of thing. The other thing that Christophe mentioned with the you feel the vibration. So right now for this half size, it's mechanically coupled with these nice braces that have been designed to hold it. So if you play, and especially you'll notice at first when you play in the lower notes, you'll feel the vibrations coming into the body and transmitting through your fingers. And it's not at all slightly disconcerting like a massage bed in a hotel room. It's actually a very nice thing. For this Mini, we have not coupled it yet, so you won't quite get that experience. But and also the another thing that Christophe mentioned, which was the 2 different panels that you have. So you have 2 different size exciters too, I think. Yeah. So you have a larger exciter on the bottom or in the back on the pyramid. A smaller exciter on the front or on the top or in the front of the pyramid, and you get a different frequency spectrum being represented. You have independent control over each one of those levels. So essentially, you can tailor the sound, and that's actually significant because what you find where you place these instruments, like for instance here, we're coupling pretty closely to a flat surface, and that's going to have some effect on reflections and lower frequencies mainly. Whereas these Ondes are identical except for their positioning. And on this one, of course, the bass is extending rearwards, and it's not going to couple nearly as much as this particular one. So having these independent volume controls is really a very amazing thing. Like if I play here, you might be able to hear. That's just the top one. And here's just the bottom one. Huh? Oh, is this? Oh, that's the top. Yeah, I'm sorry. Excuse me. So here's the bottom. And here's the top. So depending on your environment, you just adjust those 2 things and also adjust that level so it comes back in a very predictable way for the performance. That was it. Yeah.
Want to play a few things, and I will play then the Continuum, and then we will play the Pyramid.
You're going to have to come up and try this because it's really interesting that the sound seems to be coming right from the instrument. So one thing also, the 2 times 30 watt amplifier is designed so you can compete and be at the same kind of level as any acoustic instrument. So I guess you were playing about
a third or a fourth of the possible maximum volume here. But if you need to go higher, you will be nearly at the same level as a piano if you want to play together with the piano. So that was also an intention. At the same time, the maximum level is also constrained by the wood. So at some time, so at some level, you can't get more volume from the wood itself. You have the physical limitation of it. So this is going to be the that's one example. One thing here, there is no reverb on that guy. If you look at it, it has been cut. So you don't need any more reverb when you play with it. You of course can add some. It's going to sound a bit higher than usually. So it's nice to have it like this without reverb, and then you put a mic if you want to record it and add your own reverb. Of course, drums are working fine. I can have another, we'll do it later. We can go to very maybe we can have a. I don't know if you ever heard drum machines on the Continuum. It seems you can do also.
You know, Christophe, those two guitar samples, I don't think it's an accident that they actually sounded really, really, really believable. That you had a body that was, you know, sort of similar.
You said samples.
It's samples.
Well, samples of sound. Yeah, I think we're all intelligent enough here.
Yeah. We didn't talk about other use of it, but obviously that's something that guitar players are going to use, and especially acoustic guitar players. You can plug it in and get some additional volume, still keeping a very natural guitar sound. So if you drive it with a guitar sound, it's a guitar body, so it sounds quite nice as a guitar. So we're going to go on that guy now. I'm going to put it here. Oh, passe-le juste contre là. Non, fais-le passer devant comme ça on est sûr qu'il touche pas. Ah, super. Okay, we have not connected any instrument on it, but they're all three Bluetooth available. So since this guy is a bit more wide range, I wanted to give you an example of how it's going to work that way. So let's start with this first example. So you see, it really gives you a very, very acoustic sound. So for chamber ensembles, it's going to be great. You can go still on very acoustic. So this is a duduk player. But you could play these kind of things with a continuum, of course. I don't know if you know that tune. It's a traditional Armenian song, and this is played by an Armenian player. But maybe you know that version better. You get it? Yeah, Peter Gabriel. Maybe you can move during the. If you move around during the playing, you will hear that the sound is all over, and it's going to be different while you are moving. So to go more in the electronic domain, Martin Gore. Another guy I love is Ludovic, and the Netherlands guy. Or also a very famous one. I love that song, just love it. Or just one last one, just to end up with some more rocky.
Rumors spread around, United takes its time. I just sat outside the game. And you know what I'm talking about. Just let me know if you wanna go. To the whole mile long, the range, they got a lot of nice girls.
I mentioned why you chose Class B and Class A between the two, like the cost, but how this is still a high quality amplifier.
So that's all for this demonstration. We're just going to have maybe some song. It reminds me to something. So you have these two different amplifiers. There are still two good ones. This is a Class A, 2 times 13 watts, same power here, a pure Class A, much higher-handed, but none of them is a low quality amplifier. There are just two very good ones. So just this one is just the really top end you can get.
Will be built into the bass?
Yeah, it's not fully designed, but most probably it's going to be kind of attached. We have to sync a little more. This guy is strongly coupled to the ground if you put it on the ground, and it will not sound as good, so we need to put it a little bit higher. Most probably the amplifier is going to be under. But also the amplifier is... Luc, combien il pèse l'ampli? It's 11 kilograms just for the amplifier, so that makes it very heavy. 11. But this is probably 3 kilo, and that's even more. Yeah. So we have a little bit of time, but that was intentional. My idea was that you can come and play this device and have the feeling of playing it. I guess we have something like 10 minutes before we have to switch to the next talk, so please come and...
My only comment would be if you're playing in a live performance and you want to do the coupling, you need a way to mount it so you don't block yourself from the audience.
Yeah. So that's something I didn't say. So this guy, you either can have it that way, you can have it the reverse way, but going down, but not hiding the audience. Also, if you want to have it aside, so this evening you will have it aside, not to avoid the. So that's the intention. And putting it aside, you can put it on that side or on the other one. So also this shape is also studied to be able to be in different directions and used in different contexts. So, but you're right. This is a way to play for yourself, and that's not the way to play for an audience. Also, I didn't mention there will be one version flat, so having it just flat. So that's also a nice way to play with an audience in front of you.
Like an upright or a grand.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be the piano continuum.
So if you're sending it like Bluetooth, how do you do stereo? Is this meant to have two of them, maybe?
No. You can have two of them if you want,
Right,
but since it has two soundboards, we use the stereo to drive the different soundboards. So that's also another way of spreading the sound all over.
Or there's the possibility with the Continuum to design a sound that is meant for this speaker. So you have different components going into one and the other. Use the left and right as a two mono signal rather than as a stereo field signal.
Or maybe there could be some kind of module that you could turn on.
Oh, put it into owned mode.
Je vais laisser les gens essayer. Okay, so we can have a few pictures. You two guys first, and then Leopold and Ed also can maybe come. On va faire, excuse-moi, on va faire des photos. Ouais, photos de famille. Leopold and Ed, can you come on stage so we have a few pictures?
Fromage.
And you see the pitch deviation. So you're in tune when you get to the center. So there's a pyramid one too, very tall. To change patches. Well, this will give you octaves now. You're in the root level.
So ein Prototyp, deswegen ist jetzt hier die Spielfläche, ist jetzt hier die Tiefe. Ja. Das wird so